Good morning, everybody. My name is Cindy Brief. I'm the CEO of the Coral Springs Coconut Creek Regional Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber is a pro-business, nonpartisan organization seeking to advance business interests in our community. We hope this event will be informative and allow everyone to get to know the candidates for the City of Coconut Creek Commission seats so you can make an informed voting decision. We ask that the audience be respectful to all of the candidates. At this time, I'd like to introduce Ron Renzy, Chair of the Coral Springs Coconut Creek Regional Chamber of Government and Community Affairs Committee. Ron?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Cindy. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Candidate Forum. In the interest of time, we'll be limiting the candidates to 1-minute answers for each question. With that being said, we're about to get started. Each candidate has the opportunity first for a 2-minute introduction. I ask the candidates to please look at Julie Carrington's screen, and when it turns yellow, you have 1 minute left, and when it turns red, your time is up. We're going to start out with Commission Seat District B. So with that, Ms. Lewis, would you please give us your 2-minute introduction?
Thank you very much for allowing me to, good morning, person. Thank you very much for allowing me to introduce myself. My name is Nikitris Lewis, and I'm running for City Commissioner District B. I have had the pleasure of being married to my best friend and my supportive husband, William Lewis, for over 30 years. We have 9 beautiful children, 2 biological and 7 adopted. I've been employed by the Broward School Board for over 11 years and served the community on the Memorial Board for 2 years. I work in the ESC program for the Broward District, where we teach and mainstream students with autism to mainstream back into our community. I like to share a little story with you because I've been a foster parent for over 25 years. We received a call late one night from a caseworker who was trying to place 2 Brazilian brothers into a home that had been moved 8 times. We had the opportunity to keep them in our home over 2 years. And before the little one left, he said to me, "Now I know that there's no difference in color." And with that same tenacity, love, and dedication, I plan to serve the community. I hope that I can count on you for your vote on March 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Now we're going to move on to Ms. Raley. It's time for your 2-minute introduction.
Hey, good morning. My name is Jackie Raley. I have been a resident of Coconut Creek for 22 years. I have been married over 50 years, and I am a mother, a grandmother. I have been involved in Coconut Creek for many years as a member of the rezoning and redistricting committee. I am now chairman of the outreach committee. I have served on the Broward County Planning Commission. I am president of Winmore Community Council, which is a over 55 residential community of over 5,260 units, 9,000 residents. We are a small city, and I am proud to have this opportunity to be a part of governing the city of Coconut Creek. I've watched it grow. It's an amazing city. We have amazing commissioners, amazing management staff. I have worked at Goldman Sachs. I have done real estate for 25 years. I have worked for an international union as an assistant to the president. I have a very diversified background. I come from Brooklyn, New York, born, bred, and raised. I don't know what else to say. I'm just happy to have this opportunity, and I want to thank you for the opportunity of serving you.
Thank you, Ms. Raley. Now we're going to move on to the questions for the candidates of Seat District B. The first question, and we'll start with you, Ms. Lewis. What are your thoughts on infrastructure improvements in the city of Coconut Creek?
Thank you for that question. My thoughts on infrastructure and improvement of Coconut Creek, what I see now is that our community is moving forward with fast instruction projects. And from what I can see and what I've learned, things are going well. And my opinion is that things are, as the things are progressing and going well, that we should continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rayleigh?
Infrastructure is very important for any city, any community. We have to move forward. From what I have experienced, from what I have seen, it's a well-planned process. It takes a great many minds and effort to do it properly. It has been done properly. Coconut Creek has developed over the last years without any growing pains, but there is still a lot to be done. And I believe the city has made every effort in the budget and the planning to continue moving forward.
Thank you. Our next question is, why do you believe you would be the best person to serve for Commission Seat B? We'll start with you, Ms. Rayleigh.
Well, my experience alone, I believe, and a great love for the city, the community, the residents. We have an amazing family-oriented base for Coconut Creek, and I think that's very important. Our businesses need support, and I believe the commission and the staff do its best to make sure, especially in these hard times, that our small businesses and our businesses are taken care of, and our families. And with my experience of running a small city for the last 10 years as vice president and president, I believe I can continue that good work.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis?
I love this city. We reared our children here. We have 2 businesses in the city, and I love public service, and I want to work with people to help create more development and community development. And I think that sums it up.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is your plan to improve diversity, equality, and inclusion in the city of Coconut Creek? With this question, we will start with Ms. Lewis.
My plan to improve diversity is outreach and awareness. Outreach and awareness with implementing fun things that can draw the awareness, because without the outreach and awareness, it's difficult to achieve that goal. So my plan would be outreach and awareness.
Thank you. Ms. Rayleigh?
Yes, I believe, of course, education on all levels, equality on all levels, involvement, cultural activities, joining together, making sure everyone gets involved, and moving forward, not putting labels and showing diverse treatment. Everyone should be treated equal. I think any activity that bands everyone together amicably is productive.
Thank you. And our last question for Seat District B is, what are your thoughts about the election processes in Coconut Creek with regard to having March election versus November elections? Ms. Rayleigh, we'll start with you.
Of course, November's elections, we could get lost in the shuffle. I think March for a municipality election, local elections, sets us apart and gives our residents the time and effort to want to get to know the candidates and to get out there and vote.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis?
Thank you. I believe that it makes it easier for our residents by having it in November, but it makes us unique. And having the elections in March. And it is sometimes a little sneaks up on the voters, but it does make us unique, and it does give the voters an opportunity to know the candidates. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'd like to thank the candidates for Commission Seat B for answering questions. Thank you, Becky. Therefore, we're going to move on and welcome the candidates for Commission Seat District E for their 2-minute introductions. And with that, we will start with Ms. Linville.
Hi, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the Chamber for putting on this forum. I think it's wonderful. And as a proud member of the Chamber, I think it's great that we're kind of getting involved. For those that don't know me, my name is Lauren Linville, and I'm running for District E. I have lived in the city of Coconut Creek for 8 years. I am married to my college sweetheart, and I'm a proud mom of 2 young boys. I bring a little bit different credentialing than many of the other candidates. For over 15 years, I've served in the United States Coast Guard. After enlisting, I worked as a legal technician, or similar to what a paralegal is, for the Judge Advocate General, or many know him as JAG. I applied and was accepted and attended Officer Candidate School with the at the Coast Guard Academy in 2010. And then after being promoted, I transitioned, and in my tenure, I was the Assistant Personnel Director managing training, budget, and mobilization requirements for over 1,400 members here in the Southeast region, from South Carolina down to the Caribbean. Now that I'm a reservist, I'm stationed in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I was recently selected as a Lieutenant Commander. I'm the 3rd in command of our reserve unit and the senior most ranking reserve officer at our base. And my background's in emergency management, and that's what I do for the Coast Guard now. So inspired by those experiences and my experience with, hurricanes and natural disasters, I opened up a small business here last year in Coconut Creek, which is an emergency disaster and facility management firm. We've been very involved in the project management and rebuilding down in the Abacos and many of the Bahamas after the devastating effects of Dorian. And most importantly, I'm involved in the city here. I love this city. My husband and I decided to integrate into the reserve so that we could stay here. I'm an active member of the Women's Club of Coconut Creek. I was appointed as your vice chair by the commission for your Public Safety Advisory Board. I sponsor and am very active in many other organizations and civic clubs here in Creek. And I co-developed a site called gatherlater.com, which many of you guys know. There's many chamber businesses in it, which is a website donated to our small business community. And I'm offering a 50-50 promise to the residents that 50% of my time will be with the residents at City Hall, with our nonprofit organizations, and our small business community. We need to have more commission time in our neighborhoods and our small businesses. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Linville. Now, Commissioner Rydell.
Good morning, everybody. I look forward to the day that we no longer have to meet virtually and we could be back together at, over at Heron Bay in the hotel. My name is Joshua Rydell. To get over labels first, I, number one, am a husband and a father of 2 little girls, now 5-year-old and an almost 9-year-old. When I first got elected in 2015, I only had 1 little girl that I was raising, and now I'm raising 2 of them. I'm professionally an attorney. I represent a wide array of administrative and defense issues throughout the state of Florida, and frankly, at this point, throughout the country. And lastly, kind of the fun part about me is I'm also a basketball player, but I don't do that as much, especially since COVID, but we're finally getting back on that. It has been the honor of a lifetime to represent people of the residents of the city of Coconut Creek for these past couple of years. And to go back to some of the history that we have with the chamber, when I started getting active in the city about a decade ago, Coconut Creek had its own chamber. And when I got elected, one of the cool things that I was engaged with integrating was this merger of the Coral Springs Coconut Creek Chamber, which I believe has been one of the most successful relationships to create a regional chamber to benefit everybody. Now, I miss more than anything, our annual galas where we can have some fun at silent auctions and things like that. But, we're going to get back there. And let's talk about what I've done, not what we're going to do. What I've done have been integral in getting grants to small businesses. The chamber was so important and putting together an application process to getting $2,500 to businesses, grant money from the city that they don't have to pay back, and $2,200 to nonprofits in the city. Being a city elected official, regardless of whatever professional career you have, is a full-time job. It's something that you got to be available to residents all the time, whether they call you in the middle of the night with an issue with their water, or they don't know if they should call the non-emergency number, a 911 call with something else going on. There's big things on the horizon. There's big things with changing and joining the Coral Springs 911 system. There's big changes coming forward with how we're going to come out of COVID and things that we can do for our small business community. I think that some of the best moments we have is at the ribbon cuttings and things we can do in supporting our small businesses. And I've been, what I believe is innovative and creative, not just how we're going to come out of the business sense of COVID, but how are we going to come out through our friendships, our mental health, our relationships? And these are things that the city has, in our city, been very, very innovative and on the front lines for during this whole pandemic. So I welcome the opportunity to be here. I thank you and the members of this chamber for your support through the past couple of years for me, and I am asking for your support now in my reelection for Coconut Creek City Commission, District E. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to the questions for the candidates. The first question is, to maintain an affordable tax rate for residents, it's essential to recruit and retain businesses in Coconut Creek. What will you do to ensure that the city is business friendly so that we can continue to attract new businesses and retain current ones? We'll start Ms. Linville.
That's a great question. I think with our current situation, we need to be focused on recovery, sustainment, and better managing some of our finances. Once we ensure that our small business communities are back on track, we can refocus on that growth. The city of Coconut Creek is a breadbasket community, meaning that we mostly live and play and not work here in the city. By bringing mixed use projects like the ones that we see over in Lyons Business Park, those are a thoughtful approach on how we can bring economic development here in the city while not encroaching our existing neighborhoods. Additionally, we need to be encouraging on redeveloping and not new development. Redevelopment in areas where we have older plazas instead of new buildings. Let's think about redesigning and have a knockdown and build up approach, or redeveloping some of the areas that we have here in our areas, like how we're seeing up here in North Creek a bit. And this will incentivize our companies and developers, not only here, but also to hire within Creek. We need to keep our jobs local, and we need to keep the cash in Creek.
Thank you. Commissioner Rydell.
We're going to look at what we've done in the past and what we're going to continue to do. Drawing new businesses in is extraordinarily important. And the city has the ability to incentivize businesses to come here. And we have done that, and we're going to continue to do that. But the cool part is we have some very unique areas in the city that we just need to essentially continue to build up, right? So right now, brick and mortar businesses, we've had issues with some of our shopping centers with people going out of business. It's easy to draw on new business. There's a lot of very creative ways you can do that, and government can do it by incentivizing. But we also have to bolster the same businesses that have been having trouble in sustaining. So, for example, over the pandemic, everyone in this chamber is aware of issues that have gone on in Coral Springs and Coconut Creek with sign ordinances and realtor signs and things of that nature, right? But what have we done in the city of Coconut Creek? We've told code, we're not restricting people. We want you putting more signs out. We want you advertising your business. We want stickers and A-frames and inflatables and anything you want to do. The city's not going to come and hammer you for trying to build up your business. The city wants to be your partner. So what we've done over this COVID pandemic is to be creative in every way so we can help businesses build up. But coming out of this, we need to draw on new businesses and creative businesses. Listen, we have a technology park that has manufacturing jobs and high-tech jobs, and those are amazing partners. And they look to hire locally, and they do local job fairs working with the chamber. And these are the continued things that we need to keep bolstering, which I know we will do. So I am very fortunate, and I believe wholeheartedly that this chamber, this business community, we're going to come out stronger than ever. And it's having the partnerships that this entity brings that is going to allow us to do that. And I look forward to helping, to fostering, and continuing to build those bridges.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question. Many residents complain about what they call Mount Trashmore, What are your thoughts on how the city could proactively work on this issue? And what are your thoughts about recycling in general? We'll start with Commissioner Rydell.
So listen, this is a huge concern of residents. When I ran 5 years ago, this is what I was talking to residents about. I've been on the front lines of fighting the expansion of the dump. The dump should have been capped almost 20 years ago, meaning the height is the highest they should have stopped. But they keep going back before the county commission and they keep asking for 10 more feet or 12 more feet or 10 more feet. And it builds and it builds and it builds. Well, we're blessed this time because the community has said no more. I have been on the buses driving from Coconut Creek down to protest at the Broward County Commission fighting this. I look forward to continuing that fight as an elected official for the residents of Coconut Creek. And listen, recycling has been an issue. The city recently is remodeling its recycling program, but that transcends to a much larger argument. We can all say, hey, we want to recycle. We do. I want to. I was raised with recycling. But the longer discussion that I can't answer in 1 minute is that we have a stranglehold from garbage companies, from these waste companies that are going to have a monopoly within 5 years, and this entire county will be in crisis with recycling. So right now, there's a board that's looking forward to a site in Pompano to building a county-owned recycling center, which I'm very positive that you will see in the next couple of years. So we are going to be able to, have those fun moments where my daughters get excited sorting recycling. And right now, regrettably, they're putting it in my car to take it to a center, but we will get back there. I know we will.
Thank you. Ms. Linville?
Yeah, well, I think if the city cared more about Mount Trushmore, they wouldn't have gotten rid of recycling to begin with, because where is all of our trash now going, or all of our recycling? It's going to the dump. So that's the first thing. And I can understand where, Commissioner Rydell is saying that he's been down and going into these protests, but at the end of the day, Mount Trushmore keeps growing and growing and growing, and that's been happening in the tenured staff with the commission. As far as the recycling goes, we can come up with very creative solutions before we got rid of recycling. That's just, from the perspective not only for myself, but many of the other residents. We needed to have a common sense approach to a recycling program that I hope to bring back. That's not only, convenient to the residents, but folks aren't going to have to drive in the middle of the city to an overflowing recycling bin. We need to think of enhancing some of our community resiliency plans here, which is something that the city hasn't been very forward thinking in doing. So if we can try to incentivize, whether that means, we have a 2-bin system here with recycling, or we have more of a regionalized approach with our recycling, meaning not just one site, but working with our neighbors and neighborhoods and our existing HOAs so that we can walk and put our recycling in to those containers. I think that's a better option than not having any recycling at all. But either way, we have to bring recycling back.
Mr. Renzy, just to clarify one point, and I know it's not a debate, but just so everyone is aware on this call, and Commissioner Welsh will agree with this, not one bag of garbage from any resident of Coconut Creek goes to Mount Trushmore.
Okay, thank you. Now, in the interest of time, we're going to have to ask candidates to please limit their answers to 1 minute because we have another seat together. So please keep your eye on Ms. Carrington's screen for when it turns red. We will move on to our next question. What will you do as commissioner to help stimulate the economy as a result of COVID as small businesses continue to suffer? We'll start with Ms. Linville.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about, it needs to be with our current situation, we need to be focused right on recovery. Everybody is talking about economic growth in the future. With my background in emergency management, we need to have a more forward-thinking plan of how we're going to recover from COVID. That has been taking over our lives. I love what Miami-Dade has done, starting to talk about the second phase of their vaccines, going to their service industries, their hotels, their gyms, their restaurants. If people do not feel comfortable to consume, they're not going to put money into other people's and businesses' pockets. But with that said, we need to be focused on this recovery. We need to to be sustained. And then we need to ensure that our small business communities are back on track, and we refocus on that group, that growth. You know, we need to look at mixed use projects, and not to develop new, but also to redevelop those areas there. If we don't redevelop those areas, like those plazas in South Creek and off of Sample and up here, and we're only refocused, we're not going to have those delineations, and people are not going to bring their businesses here, and they're not going to consume there.
Thank you. I got a note that Commissioner's Rydell's sound broke up, so I'll reread the question. What will you do as commissioner to help stimulate the economy as a result of COVID, as small businesses continue to suffer?
Oh, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep being creative with finding additional funds to get it in the hands of our business owners. We're going to keep doing everything we can do. It goes back to my other answer. Everything we can do to support our small businesses, looking at relationships, bringing other types of funding from whether it's the county or the state or local nonprofits, engaging with them so everyone builds up together. That's the key. You know, using the city's PR team to highlight businesses. You know, we're very blessed in the city, and every single person on here knows that every city has a great PR team. Heck, the chamber has a great PR team. These are the resources and the tools that just slight innovation, slight care will continue to build our communities. So I can assure you, I have been honored to be involved over the pandemic in continuing to build up businesses and to help them, and I look forward to continuing it. Listen, me and my girls, we every weekend we're at different local businesses, you know, whether it's an ice cream shop, whether it's where we get our food or go to dinner, and you got to highlight that and promote that. That's what the chamber stands for, and that's what we're going to continue to do to support Coconut Creek businesses.
Thank you. Now we move on to our last question, 1 minute each. What are your thoughts regarding the new fire department as well as dispatch being handled by the city of Coral Springs? We'll start with Commissioner Rydell.
Listen, we have been fighting as a commission to change the regional 911 system for a long time. Now, a majority of, I guess the board member, Mr. Renzy, and some of the other people, you guys all live in Coral Springs. So God forbid you call 911. The first thing you hear is 911, what's your emergency? Us in Coconut Creek, we call 911, and the first thing they say is 911, what's your location? And you can't even get to your emergency until you give them a verified location, right? Time is of the essence in an emergency situation. And years ago, the city of Coconut Creek said it is a priority in a public safety crisis that we need to be on a better system. Our residents deserve it. And I stand by that. Any day, all day, I stand by that. And so do our firemen and our firewomen, and so do our police officers. They stand by that. Now, moving over to a stand-up alone fire department, we're in the growing stages of that. We're in the hiring process of that. There's been studies done, and we are moving to a system. I believe that we're going to have a fire department. You know, the relationship with the city of Margate has faltered over the years, and it is coming to an end. But I do believe that this 911 deal that we're doing in these two cities is the start of something much bigger and much greater in terms of regionalization years down the road, which will guarantee lower costs down the road, which will guarantee quicker response times down the road. You know, but the first couple of years, I mean, it is a work that we are tenuously doing every single day. But I stand by it all.
Thank you, Ms. Linville.
And I was endorsed by the firefighters union. I'll add that in.
So I have to disagree completely with Commissioner Rydell. Not only was this a poor timing choice with doing this in the middle of COVID, you know, we have a $3.6 million shortfall with COVID. This isn't the time to separate and to build a standalone fire department. We need to be a little bit more fiscally conservative than that. And as an emergency management consultant, and my background with actually standing up units, I can tell you that not only is our service delivery going to go down with Creek, you know, we're going to be going from, you know, four stations essentially down to 2, and having a temporary station. But this is going to be costly. So not only is our taxes are probably going to be raised in the future, which many folks won't want to say that here, but that is on the horizon because we have to pay for this somehow. And our service delivery is going to go down. So if we're talking about emergency response and having a fire truck and those folks responding in the south end, and we have a station that has to come all the way down from the north end, we're going to have to rely on our interlocal service agreements here, which is going to be costly, and they're not going to be very efficient for the city. And I think that's exactly the opposite of what the residents want. Regionalization and a different approach, going with BSO, something along those lines would have been a better approach. It would have saved us money. All of those things would have been wrapped in our service deliveries, our training, our management, and our budget. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to thank the candidates for Commission Seat District E. With that, we're now going to move on to the candidates for Commission Seat District C for their 2-minute introductions. We will start with Ms. Dubé.
Myself. Good morning, everyone. I am Patricia DeWavis, your candidate for City Commissioner District C seat. I am a 29-year resident of Coconut Creek, and I live in the Banyan Trails community. I work as an FAA certified drone pilot and app developer for Team Dibs LLC, and a client liaison officer for Adams Consulting. Should the residents trust their vote in me, I promise I will conduct full reviews of all city contracts, budget spending, and infrastructure projects to maintain an economical and sustainable pathway for our city's future. I will work diligently to support our local businesses and work tirelessly to bring new businesses into our city. I will be a budget hawk in order to keep our tax rate and utility fees steady. And most importantly, I will make public safety and fire services for our residents and business owners my top priority. Again, I am Patricia Louise DeWavis. Thank you for coming this morning, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now ask Mr. St. Ville for his 2-minute introduction.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Westner St. Ville. I'm originally from Haiti. I've been in the country for 32 years, but on Coconut Creek for 5 years. I'm married. I have 4 kids. Right now, I'm working in the hospitality industry as area director. I've been in the industry since I came to the country, starting from entry level to executive position, from Connecticut to Northwest Florida, down to Miami. While I was going to school, I want to really live the American dream. I work, never stop. I earned my MBA, and with the passion of sharing what America, have given me. After work, I used to go to a Pensacola Junior College to teach students there from Northwest Florida, mixed class with Pensacola Junior College and Northwest Florida University in one class. So I think, coming here in Coconut Creek, looking at what I see over the last 5 years, I think based on the value I create during my entry level to executive level at a private sector, there is a better way we could bring leadership and budget efficiency and transparency within the city's business. Because politics is not only about words. Politics is mostly about something that worked, and then you could transcend that to the public office in order to create value. And then we understand that budget play a great role. Everything we're saying, we got the program, the process, budget, our policies is all a representation within our budget. And looking at the budget, 2019, 2020, going to 2021, and then that's why I put myself in there to see. I think I have ideas I could bring to the city. That's why I'm running, and I need your vote.
Thank you. And we like to move on to Commissioner Wells for her 2-minute introduction.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you again for having me. So I'll give just a little backstory about who I am. I've lived in the city for 24 years. My husband and I, like Westner, have 4 children. And, you know, I started volunteering and being involved in the city the day that we moved here with helping raise funds for scholarships for the students that live here in the city, and served on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for about 12 years. So serving the city is not new to me. I saw my dad doing it when I was growing up, and I admired that quality in him to give his discretionary time, what little we all have, back. So as a result, I was working at American Express and had no intention really of leaving it. I loved my job. When I swiped my badge, put on my happy face, and contributed. I was still a very high contributor. Worked in employee relations, budgeting, customer service. I have to say American Express is the best at customer service. So I brought that thought when I got elected in 2013, and subsequently took an early retirement to dedicate 100% of my time back to the city, to work for a whole lot less and enjoy it a whole lot more, even more than American Express, to spend time in the community with the small businesses and our nonprofits and our schools, especially because all of it matters. That's what makes Coconut Creek special. And I do my homework. I do a lot of research, and I ask a lot of questions. So I don't vote on anything until I've read every contract that comes before us and every item that comes before us. So just please consider me, and thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now move on to the questions. Again, a gentle reminder, please limit your answers to 1 minute.
Okay.
Our first question is, in your opinion, what are the top 3 challenges that Coconut Creek will face in the next few years, and how will you address that as a commissioner? We will start with Ms. Dubase.
The top 3, the first one is COVID-19 and our response. Right now, the vaccinations have gone out, and hopefully all residents will eventually be vaccinated. And that would help aid for our schools to be fully and businesses to be fully occupied. The second thing is the staggering budget shortfall. We're looking at a lot of revenue loss due to COVID. So going forward, fiscally will be a challenge. And I believe that with tightening up on wages in our leadership staff will probably help offset some of the costs to this. And we have projects in the works, so maybe we can look at a few to stall them and stagger them out while we're going through this budget shortfall. The third, red light. I'll respect everyone's time. So I'll get to the third when it allows me to. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Mr. Saintville.
I do agree and with Ms. Patricia. Budget is one of my priority that, as I mentioned before, I focus on. When I mentioned about the 2019-20, we saw that when private sector business is going down, the cutting staff, cutting salary, and then when I'm looking at our public budget, we're looking at increasing staffing, increasing, when we're talking about business gonna come back, maybe around 2022, 23. And then we as a public servant, we owe the people certain answers when we increase budget. We take the budget like autopilot. For example, in 2020, we increased expense by 6.5%, and then we increased budget. And 2021, we increased expense by 4.2%. We increased budget. So
Thank you.
this is something that we need to work on.
Thank you. Commissioner Welch?
Okay, there was one thing that I did want to add before I answer the question for the next, for the previous. Talking about transparency, I did want you to know that I brought before our commission last night a consensus about live streaming our commission meetings, and I did get consensus, so staff is going to work on that and give us options as to how that's going to occur. Okay, now I'll talk about the question. The first, I totally believe that the rest of you are spot on in COVID, not only for the safety and security of our residents and our businesses and our schools, which we look out for all of our customers in that regard. So we cannot fail to take our eye off the ball in any of those concepts. And as to the budget, the shortfall that was mentioned earlier, the $3 million, we just recently received the last of the CARES Act funding, which gave us back through careful accounting, $2.7 million of that $3 million. So we're just we have some amazing staff. I'm getting the red light.
Yes.
Continue with grants. Our Lions Road project didn't come out of taxpayer dollars. It was $11 million through grants. And our fund reserves are 32%. That means our staff doesn't spend every dollar every year. They are able to carry it over. They're very frugal in how they continue to provide great services. I know I'm going to get the red light. I'm sorry.
Thank you. We'll have to move on to the next question. The candidates, please address the recycling issue with the city and the area famously known as Mount Trashmore. We will start with Mr. St. Ville.
One thing I was surprised about is like the removal of the recycling within our neighborhood. If we're talking about green energy, and then now people throwing trash all over the place. I have a next door neighborhood. There is a platform. Our community always complaining about trash on the road, and then recycling now mixed with trash. So I think that that's something, if you nominate me as the commissioner, I will revisit that, because we really need that service. We again, looking at the budget, there is a place you could trade off that recycling for some expensive, like when you looking about like adding staffing, expecting that you're gonna get a revenue you don't have. So all those things, we need to make sure that we're taking care of that, because we move into a green energy economy. We need to do it at a local level.
Thank you. Commissioner Welch.
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. Please address the recycling issue within the city and the area known as Mount Trashmore.
Yeah, don't call it a saint. Okay, so just to reiterate, our garbage has not been going to any landfill for years. Okay, it's gone to a waste to energy plant and burned and turned into renewable energy. So now that we've got that out of the way, what happened to our recycle? Two things I said that we could not control, out of our control. The China market dried up for plastics and paper. So, okay, we'll deal with that. And the second thing was what the residents were putting in those white recycle bins was contaminating 40% of the true recycle items. And as a result, that 40% was going to a landfill, not Mount Trashmore, because we got a settlement that says nothing of ours will go over there, but it went to a landfill in Okeechobee or Medley. Now, that alone was reason for us to take another look at recycle and say, if we can't control what our residents are putting in there that's causing them to go to landfill, we have to come up with something that will. And that contamination costs you, all of you as taxpayers, almost $250,000 every single year. So now you wonder why we put it on pause? We had no choice. So now everything you put to the curb is going to go to be burned and turned into renewable energy. Is it the ideal? No, but we're going to get there, I promise you, because I am a steward of the environment, just like all of you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to Ms. Dubois.
Yes, My issue on my views on recycling is I don't believe it should have been stopped. I am involved with some environmental nonprofits, and I've been speaking to them, and it's just surprising that our city only reach out to companies and not nonprofit organizations that do help offset with cost of recycling. They just went to corporations and not the environmental nonprofits that would probably help us in our recycling. I am a strong believer that you should leave this planet a better place, or at the same level that for which you've arrived. And by us just cutting it off, and our residents now have to drive to the city hall, is wrong. It's like you used recycling and now you're emitting more carbon because more cars now have to go to city hall to drop off the recycling. And for a lot of people, they're just going to just put it in the trash. This did not solve anything. We should have looked to more things than corporations. We should have reached out to environmental organizations, nonprofits, to see how they can help us solve this problem. That's all.
Thank you. We'd like to move on to our last question for the candidates of Seat District B. What are your thoughts on the election process in Coconut Creek, including the timing of the March election and the marking of elections within the community? We will start with Commissioner Welch.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So the Charter Review Board met last summer, and they're open to the public, all of those meetings, not just city officials and city staff. Anyone can come, and they go through the charter one by one by one. And one of the items that they brought up was whether the municipal election should be changed from where they are today in March, staggering 3 seats one time and 2 seats the opposite time. So, you know, I feel like wherever we can get the best voter turnout, because right now, you know, we have hovering less than 10% of our registered voters. And I feel like wherever we can get the most, because the special election does cost us between $60,000 and $80,000 each year. And matter of fact, when I was going door to door the last campaign, I told those voters what they were paying for in a special election. So why don't you go and get what you're paying for? And as a result, 700 more people last election voted than in 2013. So I feel better about that. But wherever we can get the best voter turnout, I'm ready for.
Thank you. Ms. Dubez.
Our city has over 37,000 registered voters. In the last 2020 November elections, nearly 30,000 showed up to the polls. In our last city election in 2019, 3,046 residents voted, and there was 35,000 registered voters at the time. We need to move our elections into November. More people vote in November. And throwing the Charter Review Board under the bus for not bringing this issue forward, the City Commission is allowed to put amendments on the ballot. They could have put this question forward years ago, and they have not. And I understand that they heavily rely on the Charter Review Board, but as city commissioners, they are allowed to legislate this for the people. It's in the charter.
Thank you. Mr. St. Ville.
Yes, I believe all the elections should move in November. Not only that, people will participate, and then that's save time and money for the city also. And that will make sure that the city has some type of representation within the commission. Because right now, when you're looking at the election in March, and then when people preoccupy with other issues, you know, time of income tax, you know, a spring break, preparation, all those things, take that out of the mind. I think the better option is in November, so everybody, we have more further turnout.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank everyone. We will now, for all the candidates, we would like you to please give your closing remarks. In the interest of time, we're going to have to limit that to 1 minute. We will start with Ms. Lewis.
Thank you. I love Coconut. Thank you. I love Coconut Creek. I have a passion for helping people, and I want to create and promote more policies that will help to make Coconut Creek, for the betterment of Coconut Creek and the community. And I hope that on March 9th that I can count on you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rayleigh?
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you all for listening. I have been dedicated for years for public service, for the betterment of our community, for our residents. Our residents come first, and I'm talking for all of Coconut Creek. My work ethics, my experience, I've fought in the past for all of Coconut Creek, for the Turnpike, for Mount Trashmore's expansion, against it, of course. I have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for Relay for Life, for Coconut Creek's team. I have had years of experience, both charity work, business work. I just love the city. I want to be a part of the city, and I want to take it into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Linville?
Hi, thank you guys all for having me. I really appreciate it. Our city has, the last few years, has gone through some major changes, and from COVID and new development. We lost our recycling, our fire department has separated. And as I canvass through homes every day, 100 homes actually every single day, I see more than ever from our residents that they are feeling disengaged from their leadership. And I want to be a commissioner that is not just for District E, but for the entire city. The problems that we see down in South Creek are different than in North Creek. And that's why I am offering this 50-50 promise that if I'm elected, that I will be more engaged with our neighborhoods and at our small business communities. Many of our leadership can say that it's a full-time job. And yes, I agree with that, but our residents feel differently. And we need folks out there delivering on those promises of being in our neighborhoods and our small businesses. And I'm the right person for that. I'm running for this office because I have a passion for this city, its residents and the small business community. Those that know me know that I'm out there currently, and I've been working with our civic organizations because of that passion. The COVID-19 pandemic has destroyed many of our small businesses, and we need to have local leadership that will safely guard these businesses. They are the backbones to our neighborhoods and our communities. I know as a chamber member, I talk to all of the businesses here in the chamber. I hear what you're saying, and we have options out there with the financings, but unfortunately it's not being delivered properly, and people, most of them don't know that. So I want to be that commissioner that actually goes, hands you the application, shows you, goes through the process with you. With my experiences as a military officer, my FEMA qualifications, and my background in public administration, I can quickly transition in this role. So I thank you, and for your vote on March 9th. Please feel free to reach out to me if you need anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rydell? Thank
you. Thank you for setting this up. I love the opportunity to be with our chamber members. The early morning is always fun, and I can't wait to get back in person. Listen, my name is Joshua Rydell. I'm rerunning for the Coconut Creek City Commission seat, District E. I've been there for you. I've delivered for this community, and it has been the honor of my lifetime and my family's lifetime to serve the residents of Coconut Creek. From coming up with crazy ideas like having splash pads in the city, to cutting those ribbons with my daughters, to getting money in the hands of small businesses, moving city restrictions to benefit our community. We are heading into troubled times with coming out of COVID. We're finally seeing and getting shots in people's arms, but this pandemic is not over. The economic consequence to our communities are going to last, and we need strong, we need experience, we need real leadership in these times. And I have delivered for you with tangible items, action items over the past couple of years, and I am asking for your support now. I would urge you all to engage your family, your friends in this race. I look forward to continuing to serve the residents of Coconut Creek. And as I have been my entire term on the commission, I am always, always a phone call away. So I am urging you, please come out and vote on March 9th. Thank you for the engaging, entertaining, and fun questions. I probably drank too much coffee too early. Everyone, please stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you. We will move on to Miss Dubés.
Hi, I am Patricia DeWabis, and I'm running for the City of Coconut Creek Commissioner District C seat. I've been asked, why are you running for office? And I've been kind of hesitant to answer because my answer is kind of hokey. I feel fortunate for the life that I've lived. Although my life has had difficult times, it also had some joyous moments. And I feel so fortunate to have lived in Coconut Creek for the past 29 years because I was able to raise my two children in the schools here safely and in a great, great green space environment. I'm really running to serve because let's face it, I was given a good life here in this city. And if I have to face a pandemic, I am so, so happy that it was here in Coconut Creek. And should you humble me with your vote, I will serve you and I will make sure that your lives are better because you chose Coconut Creek to live and stay in. Thank you all. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. St. Ville.
Thank you, everyone, wherever you are in December. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. As I mentioned before, coming from Haiti, to have the opportunity to be in a country that does a lot for me and continue to do a lot for my family. And I think it's time for me to give back and showing that I could serve the city of Coconut Creek, not only District C, but the entire city, to leadership that I grew up within the corporate, working from Marriott to a Goldman Sachs property to 3H Group Hotel. It's not about, what I'm gonna do. It's about what you have done and what you're gonna do based on what you have done. During my time working, leadership was one of my top priority, work ethics and budget. Everything we say in any business, public or private, remember that the budget, it's where all our talk depict what's gonna happen in the future. And then if we cannot handle our budget, we're not gonna be able to handle the city's affair. That's why I take that my priority to run for the office and to help you and to get your life better, either on tax, any brand business in town, give you a budget that represent the future, not like inflated budget. I will be there with you to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Welsh.
First of all, thanks to the chamber for the opportunity. And second, I'd like to thank all of the candidates who have chosen to put themselves out there into public service. And, your private life is no longer once you're elected. But I just want to thank you because it's a good part of, definitely a true part of good government initiative when other people want to get involved and be a real leader in the community. So I'll just get that out there. But I have been accessible. I have my phone at City Hall forwarded to my cell phone. I have for a long time because I'm very rarely in the City Hall unless I am going to meet with somebody. My job is out in the community. It's not sitting in the office. And my brand is safety and security on behalf of all of our residents and our businesses and our schools. And last year, I brought forward along with Commissioner Rydell, the idea for the Unity in the Community Forum, so that there was a platform for us to talk about and address those racial and social justice issues. And we're continuing those conversations into the 2030 vision. So take the survey, be a part of it if you live here, and vote for me March 9th, District C. Thank you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Chamber, I'd like to thank the candidates for joining us today to share their ideas, their views, and their passions for the city of Coconut Creek. To all those watching, thank you very much for your interest in the future of the city. We hope you learned something today to assist you to make informed decisions. Please get out and vote. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stay safe.